Gleeboot.
What's up, broskies? It's Gleeboot, baby. Baby. I'm Cullen.
I'm Alyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
Maybe I should say, my name is Alyssa, not Melissa.
What?
It is Alyssa.
Did you say Melissa?
It's because when I say I'm Alyssa, everybody
right.
seems to hear I'm Melissa. I'm not Melissa. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Hannah.
And
Cool.
we're rewatching Glee. Gleeboot. It's a podcast where we discuss Glee and how we would reboot it. So, this week, we're discussing episodes 9 and 10. I know their names. Wheels
and
and
Ballad.
Ballad. So, episode Wheels is great because Glee is talking about disabilities, and I don't see any way that could go wrong.
So
Absolutely not.
I think there's some good heart to it where they're definitely trying to like hey, all of these characters have their unique differences, some of which make them outcasts in society. So we're gonna highlight that and teach you about the struggles.
Yeah.
But also it's they titled it Wheels. And didn't they just call Artie Wheels in another episode? So it's I feel like you missed the mark. Also, the children don't really learn. I have so much to say. Just kidding.
So we're just going to talk about the Artie storyline first. Artie, if you don't know, if you haven't mentioned it, Artie is a character who's in a wheelchair, played by Kevin McHale, who is not in a wheelchair. When they're trying to get a bus to go to sectionals, but the school can't afford the bus that's handicap accessible. So Artie cannot go on the bus. And the kids are like, oh, Artie's dad can just take him. And Will is like, you're being so insensitive. And Quinn has this great mean girl moment where she's like, Artie doesn't mind. Don't you, Artie? And he's like, yeah, I don't mind.
Even before that, Figgins is also like, yeah, we can't afford it. His dad will just take him. It's fine. He's used to this. And we're like, bad school administrator time.
Rachel is the one who's like, it's so unfair. Thank you. And Tina is upset too. She stutters about it.
Which we find out more about that.
Plot twist.
Tina has a stutter, if we don't remember what Tina's one character trait is.
That and having purple hair.
Purple hair. So they decide, Will is like, we're going to do a big sale. We're going to raise money to get the bus, and you're all going to have to be in wheelchairs 3 hours a day.
Okay. My first problem.
Yeah.
Where'd they get all the wheelchairs if they can't afford a ramp and a bus? Is this a hospital? Where'd they get them?
St. Ignatius Nursing Home had a sale.
Why did they buy a bunch of wheelchairs? That's what I'm saying. Why? You spent all that money on wheelchairs, and you couldn't. Why? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I agree with this sentiment.
So they're all in wheelchairs, and Figgins, our favorite principal, is like, ramps cost money, we don't have handicapped ramps, but inspiration is free. It's so inspiring what they're doing, which I thought was realistic because people do treat people with disabilities as like they exist to be inspiring, and then they don't exist when you're done being inspired by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was heavy. Wow.
It's real. That's how Cullen sees it.
Nailed it! That's such a good segment idea.
How Cullen sees it.
Cullen's Corner.
So I felt that. And then Sue's like, we don't need ramps. They encourage kids to be lazy. And then Figgins is like, because of this, you have to host tryouts for the Cheerios. And this character, Becky, who has Down syndrome, tries out. And Will, in his condescending fashion, is like, be nice. And then Sue accepts her onto the team, and Will keeps thinking she has an angle and is spying on her. And Sue's like, try breathing out of your nose for once. I can hear that you're a terrible spy. And she's like, you're being so mean to her. She's different. You need to treat her differently. And Sue's like, you need to stop thinking about what you just said. It feels like all Becky wants is to be treated like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And Becky loves being a Cheerio. And then Sue is seen visiting her sister.
Plot twist.
Who has Down
Character
syndrome and is in a nursing home.
That honestly, like, still got me this second time. Like, I really was, like, very moved by it. That,
it made me cry.
I was really like, this is some really interesting character development that, like, I could not have seen. But, like, it makes sense, like, looking at the Becky stuff then after that scene is, like, she knows what she's talking about and trying to say, like, this girl wants to be treated like everyone else, and I want to do that. Like, I also find this version of Becky very off-putting because she's very different now. And Alyssa, I literally wrote, Alyssa's gonna have some interesting thoughts as Becky develops.
What?
Becky is like a main side character in the following seasons.
Up
like,
until the end of the show.
Yeah. And, which is great, like, fine. But she has some very interesting developments, and I can't wait to talk about those. But yeah, no, like, so, like, Artie's big thing is really, like, basically the disabilities that we see in the show. So, like, Sue and Becky, and then her sister, and then also, like, you were saying, like, Tina and Artie. We learn, like, what happened with Artie, which is actually really, really sad. And I don't ever remember, like, hearing about it ever again. But, like...
he gets into a car accident. Mm-hmm. And everyone is fine except for him.
Yeah, I think he said it was, like, him and his mom was fine. But he was, like, crushed. Like, his spine was, like, crushed, and so he's disabled now. And, like, that... is something that's another, like, really great character development that I really don't know if we ever, like, do we ever meet Artie's parents? Like, that's
meet
what
his mom during the Lost seasons.
The Lost, yeah,
that's not what I call after season 3.
So, 4 more seasons? 5 more? No, 4 more seasons.
6 seasons of Glee, yeah.
Okay, so it's 3 more seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can math. But, so then, there's also Tina, like you said, she created the stutter for what reason again?
She
was shy.
She didn't want to give a speech on the Missouri Compromise, which, like, same. I would hate to do that. But she invented a stutter, and then it would push people away.
She didn't want to talk to people.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was like, I don't think I understood, like, why she did it, and now, because, like, I think I kind of zoned out about that, because wasn't that also in the same scene when Artie was like, just to be clear, my penis works?
That's when after he explained the accident.
It was a different scene.
Okay, because I was like, that was very distracting.
That was a funny line, because that is something a teenage boy...
Exactly, I was like, I latched onto that, and that's the only thing I remember, that and, like, his backstory. That was... I get it. Like, that is a really good line.
Cullen, did you understand what Tina's, like, why she had her stutter?
Because she wanted to push people away. She didn't want people to approach her.
Yeah, but I would consider both of you extroverts. I'm an introvert. So I, like, really understood it. I was like, yeah, I can get that. But the fact that, Hannah, you were like, yeah, I don't understand why that happened. I wonder if it's just like how different people interact.
I also just didn't remember what she had said, and I think I zoned out.
Okay, I get it.
Which, well, no, also like that would not be my choice of like how I would want to push people away. So I do
That's
feel
a lot
like
of commitment.
Yeah, it's like
it is.
It's definitely something like I wouldn't have thought of. And so I also am like I push people away in my own way, you know, like everybody does. But like to create a stutter.
You guys, have I ever told you that when I was an undergrad in college, I spent an entire day. No, I didn't talk.
You were Melissa?
I didn't talk at all.
Oh yeah, no. No, never mind. Okay, keep going.
I was mute for a day.
Just for fun? Or you just...
I wanted to see... Basically, I wanted to see how people would react and, like, figure out how to interact with people without using my words and see how body language worked. It was very interesting. But I would not ever try to do it for, like, how many years was Tina pretending to have a stutter?
A couple years at least, right?
Since like 5th grade.
Yeah, so that's like, she's what, 10th grade? So that's like 5 years.
She's a freshman, actually.
Oh, is she a freshman?
Yeah. She does not graduate in season 3.
Interesting.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, no, I wanted to do it because I think I had heard of, like, vows of silence or something in some class, and I was curious about it.
That is interesting. So, also with the disabilities thing is that bake sale thing. After they get pushed into wheelchairs, I didn't mean it like that, pushed into wheelchairs, they were given another homework assignment to be in wheelchairs that were purchased for literally no reason, except for this exercise. And they do the bake sale. Literally the second I heard bake sale, the very first time I was like, weed brownies, tons of drugs. And then I was like, wait a second, there's supposed to be weed here. And Puck did not disappoint in that aspect.
No, So there's this whole thing where Quinn is really kind of abusive and manipulative to Finn.
Yeah.
And she's like, I got this doctor's bill, and we're lucky that I'm clever and I intercepted it, but my parents could have seen it, and we could be in so much trouble. And so she wants Finn to get a job, and Puck is trying to impress Quinn and be like, I'll be a good baby daddy. So he gives her $18 that he has left from his pool cleaning money after he bought nunchucks.
And
18.
Dip.
Yes.
And then they're like, she's like, you're such an egghead, and she cracks an egg on his head. And then they're like fighting with food, and Finn walks in, and he's like, what are you doing? And Quinn's like, we're baking. So Puck gets in a fight with Finn because he's like, you don't deserve Quinn. You're always complaining about how hard this is for you. Which, fair. But Puck's like basically thinking like, oh, I should be the dad. And so he pretends to be injured in his wheelchair and gets the pedophile Sandy Ryerson to sell him extra weed for
that
low
actually
price.
I kind of laughed at that.
It was a funny scene.
I was like, I hate everything that's happening, but this is actually kind of funny. He's like crying to him. Oh.
Yeah, and then he puts just enough weed in the cupcakes to give people the munchies, and everyone.
So they keep buying them.
Yeah. My favorite part of the whole bake sale storyline is Brittany being like, I find recipes confusing.
Emmy-worthy delivery. I wrote that. I was like, that was so good. And she like has this like whispery voice, and it's just chef's kiss. So good. Wonderful actress. Oh my god, yeah. So, what else even happens? So, like, Puck ends up, like, they make a lot of money, and then Puck, he, like, takes the money to give to Quinn, like, some of it.
Yeah.
And then Quinn is like...
Because that money was originally supposed to be for getting the bus.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Quinn's like, we're not going to steal money from, like, a teammate, right? Is that what she says,
yeah,
a teammate?
Or a kid in a wheelchair.
Oh, a kid in a wheelchair, right. I was like, she doesn't quite make a connection with him, but she's also, like, has a stand-up point about it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah. But then... I literally don't even remember this whole storyline because I was too focused on freaking Kurt because I love him so much.
Oh, yeah. Let's finish this storyline and then get to the competition one because that's like second.
The diva off.
Yeah, everything else is kind of interconnected.
Yeah, that is the only thing that is not really connected. I mean, it is because of like.
Yeah.
I guess it's about adversity, but yeah.
Yeah, so it ends with Artie sings Dancing with Myself at one point, just because they're like, oh, Artie hasn't sang.
Also, there were like a lot of lens flares in that hallway sequence that he was doing. I was like, not about it. Mm-mm.
And then at the end, they earn enough money, and Artie's like, let's use it to get a handicap ramp. And then it turns out Sue used the money, Sue decided to donate ramps because she just had a meaningful interaction with her sister, which it seemed out of the blue that she suddenly donated, but that scene was really touching.
Yeah.
She reads Little Red Riding Hood to her, and she's just such a good actor, and she loves her sister so much.
Yeah.
So they get the ramps, and so they have the money for the bus, and Puck makes a joke about using it to buy alcohol, and we're like, please stop. And then that all kind of wraps it up. Oh, Rachel uses Finn in a wheelchair to pretend that he has a disability and get him a job.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Or her gay dads will bring the ACLU down on the restaurant.
Yeah. Not a great moment for Rachel Berry or Finn or society.
Thankfully, it's never mentioned ever again.
But it's kind of a spoiler alert. Doesn't Finn get a job elsewhere eventually?
I think.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, he gets a job at a restaurant that is frequently featured in the show.
Oh.
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe it's just so featured in the show that I'm like, maybe he can get a job there. Make himself useful. But he's our useless dummy.
He's our useless dummy. So Puck is mad, and Finn gets Quinn, and Puck and Finn are supposed to be best friends, and we're like, why?
Yeah,
Nothing
I don't understand.
These two men implies.
What do they have in common? Like maybe the fact like both their dads bailed on their families, maybe?
Football?
They're men? I don't know.
Do they live near each other?
I mean, they all live in the same towns. It's supposed to be a smaller town, I think. I don't know.
Maybe they're like next door neighbors.
I don't know. Maybe they're the people you hang out with in high school that then, like, you never talk to again.
My best friends in high school, I stopped talking to them after high school.
Yeah, so maybe it's like that. Like, you have a connection in that small space, and then you meet other people, and then you no longer have that connection.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed for Puck and Finn. That happens to them. Yeah, I literally was disgusted by the Quinn Puck flirtiness and was not having it.
With their shoving baking
stuff in each other's face. It looked like they were covered in cocaine. Yeah, I just was not about it.
Do you know that if Finn and Puck were a ship, their ship name would be Fuck?
Good one. And fuck it. I can't stand it.
Yeah, that's gross. I just hate the whole, like, we're supposed to sympathize with Puck storyline.
Because he doesn't have any control in the situation.
Does he ever become, like, a redeemable character ever?
I honestly do not remember. I'm going to say probably not. Probably. He probably has something that, like, makes him okay. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah. Excited for that one.
Don't sound too enthused. All right. Yeah. Everything was pretty interconnected with all those storylines, but, like, Kurt and, like, the Diva Off kind of stands on its own.
Yeah, this is the first of 5,000 Diva Offs that Glee will have.
The show should be changed to Diva Off.
Yeah, that'll be that's a
5,000
is an ongoing thing.
5,000 is a rough estimate, but it is probably very accurate. Maybe not an official Diva Off, but Diva Off is definitely a thread throughout. There will be other official Diva Offs for sure. But yeah, first ever Diva Off.
Yeah.
And I love that Kurt stood up to Rachel because, like, she was basically going to give Rachel the solo for Defying Gravity because it's in her vocal range and, like, Wicked and all this stuff. But, it's like, Kurt's like, hi. And I'm like, yes, Kurt. Yes, Kurt. We love you.
Because Will is just like, it's this conversation about privilege where Will is just like, oh, well, musical theater songs are written for, like, white women. We're going to give it to our strongest female white performer. And Mercedes
who's going to have a solo in every other song. It doesn't matter.
And Mercedes is like, oh, I could bring my chocolate thunder to this song. And he's like, we'll find something else for you to dip in chocolate. And I'm like,
whoa, I don't remember that line.
Yep. I remember that.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was not good.
I hate that. Ew.
And Kurt is like, I can sing it. And Will's like, no. And then Kurt...
Well, she was like, it has this super high note in it. And he's like, I can do that. Like, I'm Kurt.
That is well within my range.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, I got this.
So Kurt is sad, and his dad's like, what's up? And he's like, I'm filled with ennui.
I love that line.
He's just sad about not being able to sing the song, and his dad, Bert, is like, I'll stand up for you. I mean, he goes to the school, and he's like, that's discrimination.
He is very supportive.
Bert Hummel is the king.
He's so the best adult in the show, hands down.
Honestly.
But he gets a call later from some asshole calling him to tell him that his son is a fag.
Yeah.
So, what would that be called? Harassment. Yeah. And he's really upset by it. And Kurt sees this.
You can tell how good Kurt's storylines are because Allyssa always remembers them.
Yeah. And again, I think this is a really good gauge. Because, like, you're someone who's like, I have to be actually impacted by something in order to remember it. And, like, that speaks to the writing. I agree. Like, that is... I think Kurt and his dad, like, the whole evolution that happens that you'll see is so well done and really, really interesting. And, like, yeah, the fact that he stands up for him and then he also is, like, he's worried about his son facing safety. That every day. Because, like, maybe it's something he just, like, didn't realize until he got that call and is like, my son hears this all the time now. Like, I know this now. Mm-hmm. And that really affects him. And it breaks my heart that, like, Kurt clearly sacrifices something he wants. I wouldn't say it's to make his dad comfortable, but to make his dad feel like everything's going to be okay. Like,
yeah. It's almost a reversal of what a parent-child relationship should be. Where the parent is constantly, like, sacrificing things to make their kid feel like everything's going to be okay. And in this instance, it's reversed. And Kurt makes his dad feel like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so wonderfully done. And, like, Kurt hits the note. He knows he can do it. And I love his dad was like, you got that high C or whatever it was, like the drink. And I was like, oh, Bert, you doofus. But he's our doofus.
Yeah, Kurt throws the competition. And Rachel was very nervous about it because she's like, Kurt's more popular, everyone's going to vote for him. And Finn's like, I like you. Bum, bum, bum. And then they sing the duet, or they sing Defying Gravity. And one thing I noticed is Kurt looks very uncomfortable when he's singing, but I'm realizing it's because he's torn up about the stuff with his dad.
Yeah.
But the audio they use in the show is different than the iTunes audio of like Glee. Because the Kurt in the show, even before he throws the note, sounds like he's pushing his range. It doesn't sound like a comfortable range, and like Rachel is very comfortable in her range. So like, I do think Rachel could sing the song better, but she shouldn't just be given every solo.
Yeah.
And it was still really sad that Kurt threw it for his dad.
And you would think that Shu at some point would have learned, okay, I shouldn't be giving everything to Rachel, because literally, like, 2 episodes ago, or the last episode, like, people were pissed off that Rachel got another number with Finn, that no air number. And, like, Quinn was upset, yeah, because it was all the context, but, like, also, he just gave it to Rachel. Like, Quinn could have done it.
Yeah, she never has to work for it.
Yes.
She always acts like she works really hard for everything, but we never see it.
I don't think in this setting she really has to work that hard. Like, she faces adversity because people don't really like her, because she's very ambitious. She can be mean. I think people are probably threatened by her. And, like, she's kind of right. Like, she's not as popular as other people because she has a lot of dislikable qualities that get in her way, which sucks. But that's who she is, and that's fine. But, like, she doesn't actually have to work to be good. She's, like, naturally good.
And Artie says something like, you're pretty grating all the time, but, like, no offense.
Yeah.
But don't take it personally.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, actually, it was kind of great to see actual preparation of music. Like, Kurt prepared for his audition, and you didn't see Rachel prepared, did you?
No.
Exactly. So, like, Alyssa, you made, like, a really great point. Like, Rachel never has to work for anything, as far as we can see. But, like, Kurt actually worked for it, and we saw everything that was going into that. So
which is one of the reasons why I think it was so hard to see him throw it.
Yeah. He had so much riding on that, and Rachel's just like, if she didn't get it, like, what really would it affect? Like, she's gonna have 3 other solos, and she's gonna end up leaving Lima and going to, like, a really cool place anyhow. So, like,
honestly, like, I think they tried to make it more important to her because it was, like, her favorite song or something, but it just didn't hit home.
Every song is her favorite song. She loved Cabaret, like, 5 episodes ago. That's a different musical. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, Rachel, I don't know, like, what she loves the most, because everything is her favorite song, and she's just so good at pretty much everything, and it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, is there anything else to talk about Oh, yes. It ends with them all in wheelchairs singing Proud Mary.
Rolling on a river.
Rolling on the river, which is after Artie and Tina have a breakup because Tina tells Artie she's been faking her stutter, and Artie's like, well, I can't fake being in a wheelchair. I thought we had something important in common, but we don't. And so he is no longer interested in her. But it's a good solo. The song showcases Mercedes, Artie, and Tina, who are underutilized performers in the show.
True. Yeah, get, like, really soak in all the Tina you can, Alyssa. Just gonna warn you, soak in all of that Tina, because it's gonna go. No, she's still in the show, but so enjoy it while it lasts.
Okay.
R.I.P. Tina's character growth.
It just goes in a wild direction.
it, like, doesn't happen. She's, like, in scenes but she never talks. And then all of a sudden she's, like, talking again. And you're like, oh. Yeah. You'll see what happens.
Yeah. But they sing Proud Mary, and fun fact about Proud Mary, one time my mom was, like, racing to see a sick relative, and she was so stressed that she couldn't remember the Hail Mary. She just kept having Proud Mary stuck in her head. And I just think of that as the Glee kids hop around in their wheelchairs doing their choreography they're suddenly so good at.
You're like, my mom was equally inspired. That's too funny.
Yeah.
That's great. I don't think I have anything else. I did write that OMG, Diana Agron is so pretty, but that's a given.
Yeah. They all wear nerd suspenders when they do Proud Mary.
And all the ladies have pigtails, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. Alyssa's just shaking her head like, no.
Nope.
Anti-pigtails. This podcast, we're making a hot take, anti-pigtail podcast. What am I talking about? I wear pigtails sometimes, but like braided pigtails because...
Yeah, I do that, but those aren't pigtails.
Right, technically not. I'm not talking like Wendy pigtails, I'm talking like French braids. So yeah. Yeah, pigtails, not about them.
No. I don't like them because traditionally they've been used to make older women look younger, and that's super creepy.
Yeah, and Glee does creepy very well.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
So that is Wheels.
And we're going to roll along. Nailed it.
Recording.
So, a weird thing, when they start singing Proud Mary, Finn is like, this one's for you, Artie. And I'm pretty sure that's on the iTunes single, and it's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I don't think I ever listened to the iTunes single because I was like, I didn't like this number in the show. I'm going to skip it. And that's what I would do.
Yeah, it's horrifying. And then Kurt is like, oh, sorry, I can't change a tire in the sweater. Let me change into coveralls. This is Alexander McQueen. And I'm like, where does Kurt get the money for Alexander McQueen? When you become gay, do you get gay money to be fashionable with?
Yes, exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah, and like his dad like owns a body shop, so it's not like he's like, or not a body shop, but like an auto shop. Like it's not like he's gonna be super rich.
Yeah, they'll be like,
normal.
It's a thriving business. Yeah, like normal class, but yeah. So that was some notes about Wheels. But going into Ballad, it opens with Will being like, what is a ballad? And
pretending to be a teacher.
And Brittany's like, a male duck.
Oh, Brittany. Love her.
Which is perfect because a mallard.
She's so duck. Close. She did so good. I'm so proud of her. And
Finn's like, Will is like, this is a ballad. Is like a song that tells a story. You're all gonna draw names from a hat and be assigned to sing a ballad to someone. And Brittany's like, I bet the duck's in the hat.
And then fucking Santana, this line fucking killed me. I'm like, she's like, oh yeah, Matt's not here because they found a spider in his ear, so they had to take him to the hospital. And I'm like, okay, she delivered that line as if she didn't believe that was a good line. And like, okay, Santana, Naya Rivera, you're my hero.
And this is the first example of Matt being a non-entity on the show.
Can I just make a correction from something that happened a little bit ago? A mallard is not a male duck. A mallard is a species of duck. A male duck is called a drake.
Oh my god, are you like a duck pro?
I looked it up because I was like, that doesn't sound right.
Oh. Thank you for fact checking.
Mallard is a species, so she's kind of far off.
I mean, she's okay. She did. She tried.
Which writers do you think that were like, this is real? This is a real thing.
All of them. If we know anything about their previous writing from the previous episodes, I'd say it's pretty low.
So, yeah, so they're all drawing names. Will allegedly wrote these names down, and then Tina draws other Asian.
Wait a second.
He doesn't even know his name?
Wait a second. I missed that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wait, that means he doesn't know either of their names.
Oh
Yep.
my
What a dick.
He is a racist.
And I thought he couldn't get any lower.
And Santana draws Brittany. Queer icons are born.
Spoiler alert.
And then Finn draws Kurt. He's like, I can't sing to a dude. Which seems so old-fashioned now, but I feel like was kind of like the culture at the time. But
and I think in high school in general, like, probably even still now, it still happens that, like boys don't want to, like, be close or do things like that with other boys just because of society. So, like,
yeah, I feel like
it's
that's
unfortunate realism.
And then Will's like, oh no, the hat decides it. So then when Rachel's like, oh, I guess we're paired together, he's like, no. And then Finn's like, oh, well, the hat picked it.
Yeah.
And then Rachel's like, let's sing Endless Love, my favorite duet. And they sing, and Rachel's in love with him. Because he's like, well, that song's not appropriate. And Finn's like, I love that song. You should sing it. Because he's just trying to screw Will over, which I kind of enjoy.
Also, okay, 1, Finn is being super witty. I love him. 2, a couple episodes ago, Shu sang Bust a Move and was, like, talking about scantily clad girls while, like, dancing with his high school students. He has no right to say what is and is not appropriate.
He gestured boobs over Kurt's body.
I really don't think he knows what is appropriate.
He is a psychopath.
So, if you notice, they pop into several people's heads while they sing Endless Love. And they're all men. Fun fact, except for Rachel.
I was going to say,
who's not a man.
Yeah. But they pop into Kurt, Puck's, and Finn's head just for Puck to be like, I love going commando. And you're like, I didn't need that.
Why? Yeah, who cares?
So
the Rachel, her, like, head canon literally says, like, oh my god, he has really pretty eyes. I'm like, Rachel, shut up. No, he doesn't. Ignore it.
She's like, I usually don't notice this because he's trying to destroy my career, but he's kind of cute.
And I'm like, stop.
He takes good care of his oral hygiene, which shows self-confidence. I'm like, that is a Rachel thing.
Why is she focusing on oral hygiene? Gross.
We're just going to talk about this gross little storyline of Rachel's in love with Will for a minute. And
literally, it's like probably a total of a minute.
Yeah. And Kurt and Will, and Emma's like, oh, just tell her. And Will's like, these girls are too fragile. I can't do this. And Hannah's body is shaking with rage.
I hated that line. I was like, okay, how dare you, one, just say that about girls and women in general. And, like, you're also saying it in reference to these girls have crushes on you in front of another woman who has a crush on you. Like show some self-awareness.
He doesn't have any.
No, he doesn't. Again, he has no idea what is and is not appropriate. I think he cannot see past his nose. That's what it is.
When I was a director of, like, a musical in high school, like, one of the girls who was, like, she was, like, 13, 12, whatever, she had a crush on me. Because it was, like, a schoolgirl that she was, like, a kid, and I was older, like, whatever. You know what I did? Absolutely nothing. Because she's a child.
You didn't sing Endless Love to her?
I didn't.
You didn't sing The Police to her?
Because kids have crushes and then they go away.
I had a crush in high school on a teacher. I did.
Did you sing Endless Love with them?
I did not.
Did they sing The Police to you?
It was very strange because our math teacher had just gotten fired, so they needed to hire someone new. and they hired, I think, basically the only person who put in an application, and he was a Sylvan tutor. And so he was very used to using first names, and I missed the first couple days of class, and so when I introduced myself to him, he introduced himself. No, he introduced himself with his first name, and I was very confused.
Yeah.
And it was actually kind of cute because now thinking back on it, I'm pretty sure he was like really, really young, and he got very flustered. It was cute.
Oh. See, but when teachers don't do anything weird about these crushes, then they become nice little cute memories.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, the reason he justifies being like, I have to do something else, I can't just tell her, is because of the fucking worst character ever. Suzy Peppers.
I think Suzy Peppers is an icon.
She wears pepper-themed clothing. She's obsessed with peppers. I'm not obsessed with Sylvester the cat or Stallone. Like, I'm not gonna, like, be obsessed with my namesake.
I had no idea she was still in school. I thought that happened years ago. And she was gone.
I also did too.
Or like,
I thought she died. I thought she probably couldn't. She had an esophagus replacement. Why didn't they have her just be like, yeah, now she's like dead? Like, I don't want to see her again.
They needed her to show up in the bathroom with Rachel.
What if she's not actually real? What if she's a figment of Rachel's imagination?
She's like the
but via yes. Yes, that's exactly what I said. She's just like Moaning Myrtle, except she's like a spectral projection from Will Schuester, and he's like giving it to Rachel. He's like, "This is who you could become."
So
would she wait? So then, on the same logic, every episode is an alternate universe.
Yes.
We've already discussed this.
Yes.
But so on the logic of like you have to love what is your last name's namesake. Does Rachel Berry love berries?
She wore those cherry jackets.
Exactly. Wow. Glee, you have outdone yourself, and I hate it.
So, Suzy Pepper is this girl who's obsessed with Pepper. She's in love with Will. She, like, low-key stalks him. He tells her he can't return her feelings.
High-key stalks him. She calls their house in the middle of the night, and Terry answers it, and she's like, I will fucking murder you. And I'm like, okay, Terry, you have used your anger for good things here, but you did threaten a child.
If someone is stalking you, like, I feel like I would respond the same way.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, but she also threatened a child.
Yeah.
But also, she's stalking them. So I kind of see both sides.
So, Suzy goes to the hospital after eating the world's hottest pepper. And
that she kept in her locker.
Which she ate because Shu said he wasn't in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, and so he's like, this is why I can't tell Rachel how I feel. So he sings a medley of Don't Stand So Close to Me and Young Girl. Are those the two songs?
I think so.
Yeah. And then Emma's supposed to be there for moral support, but she's just fawning over him. And I'm like, Jayma Mays is a better actress and Emma is a better character than this. Please get it together. And
Rachel's reaction to that, what did she say? That
she's like, what I get from this is that you think I'm very young and you have trouble standing close to me.
Yes, and I was like, okay.
It was funny.
I was like, this is funny, but also this needs to die in a fire.
Yeah, it was funny, and then she goes over to his house, and Terry puts her to work.
So weird.
The fact that she goes over to the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
And Terry puts her to work cleaning the bathroom and making dinner.
I love that. It's like, she's a really good cook. And I was like, you know what? This is where Terry is actually okay. Again, she's using her psychopathy for really good things here.
She's like, why can't I benefit from this?
And you know what? I was like, you know what? I'm on your side for this, Terry. For this one thing. Like,
and Will's all like, you just have this irrational fear of me leaving you. And I'm like, I don't think it's that irrational.
Yeah, and also, like, if you think she has a fear, like, it's just really weird. Like, it's almost like the writers kind of plopping in and being like, hey, this is really what's going on with your wife, and you're not really supposed to know it, but you kind of do. It just feels like, I don't know, I don't buy it that he would, like, assume that already.
Yeah. It's gross. He drives her home in the car, makes her sit in the back seat. She tries to sing Crush at him. He shuts it down. And after Suzy Pepper stalks Rachel a bit, she's like, Rachel earns some self-respect. You like Will because he's unattainable, and he reinforces the fact that you won't be loved. Yeah. He can't return your affections. And I'm like, this is why Suzy Pepper's an icon.
Also, though, she is essentially, like Rachel Berry, I've said, is the lesson-learning machine. Yeah. Like, she teaches Rachel a lesson. That's why I think she's a spectral projection, a moaning myrtle of Lima High School, or McKinley High School.
Yeah. I see that. Rachel learns her lesson. She apologizes, gives him flowers, and he's like, some boy's gonna love you someday.
Which I hated.
Thanks.
Hated.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Because
Alyssa with the quips.
If a man loves you, it means you're worth existing.
Exactly. That's exactly what that means.
Yep.
Oh, gross. So, yeah.
So that's that storyline.
I hate it. I wish it would die.
Real quick, Puck is mad that Quinn is with Finn, and everyone feels bad for them. And he yells at Mercedes, who's trying to talk to Tina about her pregnant hamster. And he's like, I'm the real father. And Mercedes, like, takes a moment, and she's like, I'm paraphrasing, I don't give a fuck.
Exactly. And she's like, if you were actually going to be, like, the dad, you would step up. But guess what? She chose Finn, and Finn's going to do his thing, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we don't care. Sing Lean on Me with the rest of us to Finn and Quinn.
So, we can talk about that. Let's get into the Quinn-Finn side.
Should we say that Kurt... Let's touch on Kurt real quick.
Oh, yeah, Kurt's going to be a quick one.
Kurt's in love with Finn.
Mm-hmm.
It's still pretty wholesome at this point, but he keeps being like, girls, who needs them?
Honestly, you know what it reminded me of, Cullen? It reminded me of the gay conversions in Smash. And I was like, why is this trope in so many things that we watch? It needs to die.
So he's basically trying to clue Finn in that he might be gay? Or he wants him to be gay?
Yes. He's like, ugh, girls are the worst. You should just have men, right? And we're like, just let him be.
But he gives him good advice to sing to your daughter. And he sings...
Finn couldn't sing a ballad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so he sings Stand By You to the sonogram.
Which is so awkward, but also it's so Finn. Like, it's so pure. I believe in it.
It is.
And then his mom, who is, again, just wearing a ton of denim, and I love her so much. Like, that moment, there are a lot of moments in this episode, and I actually really, really like this episode. Like, that actually, like, made me very emotional. Like, that was definitely one of them when he, like, starts crying to his mom. Just heartbroken. I felt for him.
It was one of the moments, one of the many moments that I just realized that Finn is a child.
Yeah. He's just a little baby.
Little baby.
He's our baby.
His mom is this hardworking, like, working class woman, and she just feels she's so
loves
sad.
Denim.
She loves denim, and she loves her son, and America too. And she's comforting him, and she's so upset, but she's focusing on comforting her son.
Mm-hmm.
And
like, you see this terror in her eyes.
Yeah.
Like, she's a really great actress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because she only has a couple small moments this, like, first season, and, like, she nails them.
She's great. Back to Kurt. Kurt helps Finn get ready to have dinner with the Fabres, and is like, you should sing a song to tell them that Quinn is pregnant, which we'll get to how that goes.
But, like, let's give context about Quinn's family. So, even before this starts happening, we meet her parents, and her mom like drinks a bunch of like martinis or whatever. Her dad also drinks, but like we meet him, he comes in and he's like, "Oh, honey, we have to hurry up. Glenn Beck's on." And I'm like, "Ooh, no, Fox News. I don't want any part of this."
Lushes.
Fox News lushes.
Because they're drinking.
I love it. It's so good.
And
yeah,
they're very wealthy.
Yeah.
Compared to like Finn's mom.
Very wealthy. They're kind of like, it kind of seems like it's they have like an old money looking house.
Yeah.
Like they seem like they're from old money, like generations of lawyers or doctors, some higher paying job that's just gonna get passed down.
Yeah.
And let's get back to the Fabres. Judy Fabre, her mom, cures her own meats. We'll get back to them. But Kurt and Finn have a good moment where they're bonding over their lost parents, and Finn's like, I guess it's good that I don't remember my dad, because Kurt's talking about missing his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sweet.
I love their bonding moments.
Yeah.
Because it's a really great foundation for their relationship as it grows. And I love it. Love it so much.
And Kurt talks about being in love with Finn, even though he's kind of dumb. And then he, at the end, even though we'll talk about how his advice to Finn to sing to the Fabres didn't go so well, he's like, he says, "Oh, what song are you going to sing to me, Kurt? You've been super helpful." And Kurt's like, "I honestly love you." And Finn's like, "Oh, I haven't heard that song."
Totally.
And we're like, Finn, you idiot. We love you.
And then Kurt takes them to a surprise, which we will touch on at the very end. Let's get to the Fabres.
Oh, boy.
This whole sequence is really, really well done, even if the song Finn sings is really gross.
It is this sequence is the cringiest thing in all of television. The Office, Craziest Girlfriend, none of them beat this scene.
It was
in pure cringe.
Very painful.
Yeah. It, again, like what Alyssa said, like he is a child and he thinks this is gonna like
actually work.
Not solve a problem, but like, yeah, he's like, this is gonna be a really sweet way to like show Quinn how I feel, and that like I'm here to support her, and also maybe her parents will like me.
Ooh.
It's a great deconstruction of the Glee message of just sing and your problems will be fixed. Because it does not work at all.
The song he sings, I do not know the history of the song. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know where it comes from. I'm disgusted. Because it doesn't matter what context it is, it's still really weird. He literally says, the seed inside you is growing or something like that. And I'm like, can we stop talking about seed? Thank you.
It's called, like, You're Having My Baby?
Yes. Like, who wrote this? I understand, like, why, but, like, why?
So, when we first meet the Fabres, she's trying on her dress for the chastity ball. And I know we talked about Celibacy Club and how that was something kind of familiar to me. I just want to go on the record and saying that I have no fucking idea what a chastity ball is.
Isn't it like a daddy-daughter dance?
I know what a daddy-daughter dance is, but those are usually for, like, little girls.
I mean,
not necessarily.
They go on, but I've never heard one.
They go too long.
Yeah, I've never heard one called a chastity ball, though.
I assumed it was a daddy-daughter dance that they called the chastity ball. That's what I was assuming. Like, you're basically like... So there's probably, like, a thing where, like, you're pledging your purity again to God and Jesus, whomever. And then... Maybe Anubis. And then also to your father. Like, I know there's a thing, but again, I think it is, like, little girls... But this could be something like that.
I mean, I wouldn't put past them in the show.
Yeah, it's probably really terrible.
Well, because the mom's like, it's so important to your father. Like, it's not important to me, it's not important to Jesus, it's important to your father.
Oh, but you know what is important to her mom? The fact that she's gained a couple of pounds.
So, that... I actually am very angry at her mom because, like she says in, like, the big confrontation that, like, you knew I was pregnant. You knew something was happening, and you said nothing.
Yeah, I kind of knew.
Like, I needed my mom, and like, I got really emotional by that because like, I actually didn't connect like her being like, oh, looks like we're gonna have to like take this out a little bit, and she's like, oh, I just had a big lunch. Like, I didn't connect that point with like the dinner until like on my quick speed watch this past time. I was like, oh, like that's our nugget that proves that she did know. And I was like, that was pretty well done, but also I'm really upset. Like these are the scenes that actually make me really care for Quinn, even when she can be kind of a bitch.
Yeah, she's very manipulative because she's very mad at Finn when he's said, "Oh, I told my mom," and she's like, "I'm right, you're wrong. I'm smart, you're dumb." Like that's like abusive behavior.
Oh, it's very abusive.
Yeah.
That is emotional abuse.
Yeah. It is. But you feel for her in these scenes when like this is what she's going home to, and like the dad's all like, "Oh, I don't want to see your dress," and like she's very much treated as like her father's
a precious object.
Yeah.
Well,
just like a doll.
I mean, if we're thinking about it, any cycle of abuse is in fact a cycle. So I would imagine that she is emotionally abused at home as well, and we only see a small picture of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cullen's dying again. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think like this is just like one layer of it that like her dad literally rejects her and he's like,
yeah, let's actually say what happens. So Finn reveals that she's pregnant, and then her parents reject her and throw her out of the house.
So how he does that is in the middle of a toast, he's like, I have to go to the bathroom, and he calls Kurt for moral support, and then it's like, I have to go, I can't be on the phone too long or they'll think I'm pooping.
Which is a great line.
It's very Finn.
Yeah. And then he sings, I'm having your baby, or you're having my baby.
Yeah.
And then the dad stops in the middle of the song and is like, he just doesn't say anything, stands up. Yeah, he saves us. And then they're talking about it, and Finn's all like, we didn't even have sex, and they're like, stop lying. And I'm like, if only anyone listened, we would have resolved some things. And then the dad's like, get out. And Quinn's like, can we talk about this? He's like, you too.
Yeah. That's heart-wrenching because she calls her mom, but she calls her dad daddy, which means that there's definitely like a very different dynamic in the house. And like they talk about how like the mom is kind of scared, but yeah, like she gets kicked out, and it's I think it's this episode like we hear that her dad set a timer in the kitchen and basically you have 10 minutes to pack up your shit and get out of my house.
I think it was a half hour.
Oh, was it that long? So. Okay.
But still, that's
nice.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's like it's so heart-wrenching. I think it's probably like one of the best dramatic moments that I can think of overall in the show of what I've seen. Like that has stayed with me even all this time. That like that's a really good sequence as a whole with everything that happens, even with Finn being Finn.
Yeah, so her dad has this whole story of, like, you fell asleep during this baseball game, and it's like a metaphor for her not being able to finish the race of, I put air quotes over race, of her, like, of her chastity, of, like, losing it before marriage, and it's, like, really gross and possessive, and
abusive.
Yeah.
And she's like, I needed my mom, Daddy, I just want you to hug me, and they both turn away, and they leave the very wealthy house of Quinn's parents who could afford to help a grandkid, and she has to crash at Finn's single working mother's house.
Mm-hmm.
And Finn's mom is so welcoming.
Yeah, she's like, of course she can stay here.
You can stay as long as you need.
Yeah.
Which, like, to me is just, like, such a natural reaction. Like, even if you, like, want your kids to, like, wait till marriage, like, just, like, okay, well, like, you're pregnant, like, what are we going to do about this? It just shows how abusive Quinn's dad is, that you didn't do this, like, I don't even recognize you anymore, you're not my daughter.
Yeah, basically, like, you didn't do things exactly how I wanted you to, you're not perfect, and that's not good enough for me, and it's heart-wrenching.
Because she's like, is it just because I'm not a little girl anymore? And that's...
Yeah.
I mean, basically, yes.
Yeah. So it's upsetting. And the Glee kids, so Quinn has this very legit real problem. The Glee kids solution is to sing.
I love, wait, it gets introduced by Mercedes coming in and be like, hey, we have to go to the choir room. And they're like, why? We're like, we want to give you something. And I wrote, really? Is it going to be $5,000 to pay the medical bills? Oh, no, it's a fucking song.
And so I do love their, like, walking Finn in, and Mercedes is like, open your eyes, I didn't even tell you to close them.
That, and he's like, is there a cake? And she's like, no, there's not a cake. I was like, he's our idiot. He is our child.
We love him.
Precious child.
Though, I do want to point out that by him, he's like, it's good, all the truth is out in the open, that it's, like, good that I did this, but I'm like, once again, a man is taking away Quinn's ability to make choices for herself.
Yes.
That, and, like, her mom may have been able to figure something out in that time. Again, like, should she have taken the actual advantage? But, like, Quinn could have had more time with her parents. But Finn's like, I have to get this out. And it's like, again, you are not going to be the one carrying the weight of that choice literally in your stomach. You're not going to be carrying the proof. Shut up.
Quinn has very serious and real consequences to his actions.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. Like, it's his fault. Like, and that whole sequence is kind of placed on Quinn. It's like, oh, it's actually your fault because you didn't live up to your parents. Like, obviously, we could understand, like, okay, the parents are crazy in expecting this of her. But also, like, Quinn, like, no one addresses the fact that, like, Finn did this. And yet they're both fine. Like, Quinn's fine with it now? I don't know.
Apparently. Well, she's all he had. He's all she has at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like it was written so that we're supposed to think that this would have happened eventually, and Finn is just ripping off a Band-Aid. Which I'm just like, rip off our own Band-Aid, man.
Yeah.
We don't need you.
Exactly.
So
men, right? Ugh.
Ew.
We're gross. They sing Lean on Me, which is cute. And, like, they do little trust exercises. I think it's telling, and we'll talk about this in the future. So Quinn is rejected by her parents for not being chaste, but she still wears a cross.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even notice.
So it's actually kind of it's an interesting arc that Quinn goes through, kind of behind the scenes, but, like, she never loses her religion, even though her parents reject her.
Yeah. Also, the Stand By Me kind of has the same energy as Keep Holding On, and I'm like, didn't we just do this not too long ago? Don't you know that they have your back? We get it.
They wanted to sing Lean on Me because it's a popular song and it will sell on iTunes.
True. Okay.
So they're all cute and happy, and it ends. But Quinn is estranged from her parents.
And we'll just have to see what happens next episodes.
Oh boy. LVP and MVP? Or songs? Do we do songs first?
I just know that LVP is obviously Quinn's dad.
Oh, I disagree. I think it's her mom.
I think Suzy Pepper. But I second both of your choices. I was so annoyed by her that I forgot. But yeah, no, so that's Hannah's instinctual choice. Hannah's logical choice is one of those two. MVP. I redeemed myself, guys. And then MVP, I have Finn's mom here, but actually I would say Finn's mom and Kurt's dad.
Yeah. No, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I was going to say Finn's mom. Yeah.
So the adults both win and suck in these episodes.
Yep.
Wow.
So best number.
There aren't many. Would it be Proud Mary?
This is an opinion.
I know.
I said Defying Gravity just because I
one.
like that song, and like the actual recording on iTunes or whatever is actually really good because Kurt harmonizes with Rachel, right?
Yeah.
So like it's a good note. It doesn't like he throws it, but it's not like you know.
I think I'm gonna go with Stand By Me.
Nice.
Because I think it was a good emotional ending to kind of keep you uplifted.
Yeah, for sure. They're like, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
High School Musical. Worst number.
Wait, did Cullen do?
I'm gonna go with Proud Mary.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You like the pigtails and the wheelchairs and the
it's a bop.
It's a bop.
And Tina sings.
It is a bop for sure. And again, I love Mercedes, so anything with the Mercedes like featured, great.
LVP is gonna be Will's mashup to Rachel.
Okay.
Wait.
It's the worst in every way.
The worst number.
The worst number. Okay.
Oh yeah, worst number.
I chose Endless Love. I was really tied between the two. I was like, I think the whole context of Endless Love with like the heads, like everyone talking can't do it.
It was terrible.
I'm gonna go with that one too.
Endless Love?
Yeah. I did not like it at all.
Yikes.
Yikes. Catch you on the flippity flop.
Love it.
Glee!